Fun, Artie. You and Artie got along. You know, he loved talking sports, I'm sure. Just give me your interactions with him, and if you've heard from him, how's he doing? We haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah, I haven't seen Artie in a long time. I mean, we've gone our separate ways. I'm saddened by that. I'm very busy doing the show, and I do the show from my own studio. I built my own studio that I'm in right now, doing the show with you. And I don't go to, Howard anymore in Midtown. I don't go to CBS and WFAN down on Hudson Street anymore. But Artie used to have a studio down there when he was doing his TV show late at night. And it was on Houston, and it was right around the corner from me. And I would see him on the streets periodically because I would run down there and grab food and shit. And that's where all the food was, right on the block past, on Houston from where I was. I had to go up a long city block. And at the end of that block was where Artie was. And I could look up into the window and see Artie and wave, and he'd see me because they did it right there in this giant window and studio. And I would see him there a lot. I'm just going to be honest. After Artie had issues and problems, he kind of vanished from everyone's life. He disappeared off the face of the earth. Now, I used to go, I'm not afraid to say it, I used to go with Artie to meetings and stuff. We all tried to help and be his friend and be there for him. And Artie and I go way back with sports, right? Artie was like the only real, truly hardcore sports fan in that group. Now, I know John Hine was a sports fan. I know Fafa Flohai was a sports fan. Shuli's a sports fan. I won't deny Gary knows tons of sports. He's been on my show a million times talking sports. He knows New York sports as good as anybody. I think he's like a New York sports guy. I'm a world sports guy, okay? I can talk about anything all over the world. And I know a lot about what's going on with teams and players and ownership and money all over the world. I always felt like those guys were centralized. Like Hine is a Pittsburgh guy, and so we hit it off. I'm a Pittsburgh guy, Steelers season ticket holder. I love the Penguins and Steelers more than my own family. So I got along really well with John. But Artie was like a real hardcore sports fan. Like I went to Yankee games with him. And, he'd give me tickets all the time to his, seats when he couldn't go, whatever. So we were always great friends. I've been to his, home. I know his mom. I've been to his parties down the shore. I've been to Robin's crib down there in the shore. And all of them treated me so well, like as a family member, like as a brother, as a son. Going to Howard's wedding. Are you fucking kidding me? With all those debutantes and celebrities, Billy Joel, I'm sitting there with Barbara Walters at my fucking dinner table. Are you kidding me? Like my wife was, I think, coming in her pants. So all I know is, John Bon Jovi. I'm like, what is happening here? This isn't happening to me. So when Artie fell off the face of the earth, I'm not a fisherman. I can't, go fish him out of the sea and find him, and I can't do anything to help anybody. You know what I mean? Like you got to do your own thing. You got to help yourself. When I saw Artie every day, I'd be more than happy to hang out with him, go have dinner with him, go to a meeting, whatever. I was totally on Artie's team always. I'm good friends with Jimmy Palumbo, who did the movie Beer League with Artie. So all those guys are my good friends, right? So you do the same thing, Brad, for your good friends. I was saddened by everything that happened, but it's really none of my fucking business what people's buzz is on and partying. And I'm one to talk. I partied like a rock star. I have done all kinds of horrible things with, you name it, Motley Crue, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Slash. I partied with all those guys before they got sober. I partied with them, and when I saw Slash at Sirius, he said, "You're not fucking dead yet," because I should have been dead. I did bad things. When I lived in L.A., I was a lot faster than I was in New York, right? Like, so I was younger, and I was really going in sixth gear. I mean, I was a hardcore, crazy motherfucker. and I was on MTV. I had long hair. I smoked fucking weed. I drank like a fish. I did drugs. I absolutely was a fucking lunatic. So most of those guys, Metallica, when they hired me to do Acoustica, they knew me as a partier, a wild man, an insane dude. And then when I moved to New York and started working, the older I got, the more obviously I mellowed out. And then I stopped partying, and then I stopped hanging around Artie. I don't party anymore. I'm an old dude, and all I do is play basketball and do TV shows. I don't drink anymore. I don't do drugs. I don't do anything. So I think, Brad, basically that means I'm a pussy.
Well, I was going to say early on, it was Dad of the Year. You called your son a pussy for yelling at a hockey game. I love that. That's. We may run out of time on Zoom here. I may ask you just to give me 5 more minutes. I have 2.5 questions left. Tell me the best strategy for gambling, because I love to gamble. I have a few that I like to give out. I'm going to give out a free play for everyone here today. This is my play for you. I am into money line parlays right now with teams that NBA teams play really well at home versus NBA teams playing really terrible on the road. This is what I've been looking at. Same with the NHL. So here's my pick for the night. Calgary money line against Columbus, Toronto Maple Leafs at home, and then Milwaukee Bucks on the road against the Pistons. I'm putting $35 on that to win $75 to win $52 for a total of $75. That's my picks for tonight. Free picks right here. Ferrall, I know we can buy some from you. Are you putting these down? Are you taking these down? I'm wondering.
Well, I'm looking at them. So I do, FerrallOnEvents.com. A lot of people go to my site for my picks, and they buy them, and they're really good. We do sharp plays. I used to do every game, every night, hundreds of games. And, I changed the whole philosophy. Now we just center on 5 or 6 plays a night, some props, and make people money. I love that Flames bet. I love the Leafs bet. I don't have a problem with money line parlays. I really don't. The more legs you add, the more you're going to lose. Okay, so eventually one of those legs will trip you up. I believe in betting single bets way more than parlays. In the NFL, I find that teasers are a way better way to make money than betting spreads. If you bet spreads in the NFL, you will lose everything. Eventually, you will lose even more than everything.
Well, this year was it was dogs, but it was dogs, right? If you went and kind of went with the 7-point, 8-point dogs, it felt like you were pretty safe, because everyone's like, oh, I know that Buffalo's better. Or Kansas City, the Chiefs were never covering. And every week, everybody's putting all their money out on the Chiefs or the Cowboys, and they weren't covering. And this is what I saw over the season. This is just Brad's little.
So I bet teasers and hit them all. On this past weekend, I had the Chiefs down, and I had the Eagles down, tease them down, 6.5 points. That hit, and then on Sunday, I had the Bengals up to 12.5, and I had the Niners getting 3, teasing them down. If I would have fucked around with that Jaguars game, that field goal, they covered the 9.5. That last-minute field goal was the backdoor Led Zeppelin cover. So if you bet spreads in the NFL, they will take everything you have, your wife, your children, your house, your mortgage, your 401k, your savings. They'll take your dick. They'll take everything from you. But if you're smart, in the NFL, tease games where you're getting it to your advantage. And remember, just because you tease up the Bengals to 12.5 doesn't mean that they couldn't have lost that game by 20. You never know what's going to happen. People tease up. They're like, oh, I got 19 points. I'm good to go. And they lose by 21. So I think you have to be really smart. Sometimes it's smarter to tease down with good teams like I did the Eagles and the Niners. And both of those Saturday, Sunday teasers hit. So, listen, here's one thing I know. If you bet, I've always said, get a bankroll, set your number. Let's say you got $5,000 or $10,000. That's your whole bankroll. Bet 1% of your bankroll and make all your units, which is bets, the same number. So if you bet 50 a game, bet 50 a game, all your games. If you bet 100, bet 100. If you bet 500, bet 500. If you bet 1,000, bet them all at 1,000. So what I would do is get a bankroll. Let's say it's 5 or 10,000. let's say, just be a simple small time bettor, $5,000. I would do every single bet. Every unit would be the same. I'd bet every game at 25 or $50 if you're playing with like $5,000. Because if you start betting 100 a game or 1,000 or even a nickel a game, you're going to lose your money. It's not going to take long for that bank to be gone. So I always tell people it's a very dangerous, slippery slope betting, right? So you have to know exactly what you're dealing with financially. If it's $5,000 your bankroll or $10,000, if that's all, then don't go anywhere out of bounds. Don't go over the limits. Don't do anything crazy or stupid or outrageous to exceed that limit. The limit, the total cap has to be your bankroll cap. If it's $5,000 or $10,000, right? And if your cap is $2,500 bankroll, bet $20 a game. Bet them all the same, and I think you'll have way more fun if you bet $20 a bet on every game every night. Let's say you bet 5 plays a night. It's $100. You can make that $2,500 or $5,000 last if you're not a fucking moron. It's people that bet too much money on every game, and then they have a bad day. All it takes is 1 or 2, 3 bad days, and you're finished. I don't have that problem. Okay? Because I know exactly what my limit is, what my bankroll is, and I do the same unit on every bet. So even when I have a great day where I hit a bunch of bets, it's all the same money. I don't ever try to double the money or triple the money. I'm going to go for it today on this game. I'm going to bet $1,000 on the Niners. Don't ever do that, because you will not only lose your money, your wife will start fucking your bookie.
Yeah, and it's just so addicting that people just can't help themselves, especially when they're losing. They get on tilt. I get on tilt. I always have my December. I've always had this really good run of college basketball underdogs between 14 and 20 point spreads against top 25 teams, because it's always pretty close. I wanted to ask you.
Never chase the dragon. Same as in drugs. You never get higher than the first hit. You chase it all day long and you just go downhill. Same thing in betting. If you bet the 1 o'clock games in the NFL on a Sunday and you have a really bad early game, sheet of all the 1 o'clock games and you lose 6 bets, if you think you're going to make it up with the 4 o'clock games and the Sunday night game, what's going to happen is you're going to double your losses and you're really going to have a bad Monday when you go to work and you can't buy lunch or dinner because you're fucking broke. Never chase the dragon when you're betting. And listen, on Sports Grid, on my show, 3 to 6 East, Monday through Friday, Saturdays I'm on at 12, Sundays I'm on usually for the 1 o'clock games. Next week I'll be on, I'm sure, at 3 o'clock for the one title game, and then the second title game I'm not on the air for. I only do a 3-hour Sunday show. So yesterday I did the Bills-Bengals 3 to 6 I was on. So, bottom line is, if you watch Sports Grid, when I'm on 3 to 6, you won't believe it. It's literally 3 hours of nothing but gambling. It's literally 3 hours of betting, props, and making fun of people. So on Sports Grid, one of the good things about Sports Grid is they're very liberal about my, let's say, comedic value. So when I'm on the air with Carver High, the guy I stole from WFAN to work with me at CBS, and I brought him with me to TV, and Mafia, my old producer at Howard. He's been with me almost 20 years. We spend the entire 3 hours fucking with people, making fun of people, making fun of ourselves, abusing everyone everywhere. It's the funniest shit you've ever seen in your life, what we do to people. And then the rest of the time, literally, all we talk about is betting. How to bet, what to prop, what to play, what to parlay, what to one-game parlay, what to tease, what to reverse, what to total. That's all we do. So if you want to get into sports betting and you're not a fucking moron, this is for fans, if you're stupid, you will bet way too much money. You will lose all of your fucking money, guaranteed. But if you're smart, you're clever, and you want to learn how to smartly bet the same unit, the same thing every time, and build a bankroll, I guarantee you will turn that $5,000 into $10,000. You'll turn that $10,000 into $20,000. we help people make smart moves to make money. We do the most fantastic props. We hit another one over the weekend in the Giants game. That guy Boston for the Eagles. He scored in 9 straight games or something like that against the Giants. He did it again at plus 350. So you bet a hundo, you're looking at 350. Bottom line is, if you watch us on Sports Grid, on this show I do, on Sports Grid TV, the Sports Grid app, Roku, Sling, Fubo, YouTube TV, and listen on, you can even just listen on Sirius 159. You don't even have to watch my ugly ass. But if you watch that show or listen to that show every day, 7 days a week, I fucking guarantee you're going to make money.
This is the guy right here, folks. Ferrall, I have to ask one last question. Mike and the Mad Dog, they're reuniting. I know you're excited for that. Tell me. I think Mad Dog you're okay with, right? Mike, we're sick of, right? Tell me a little bit about your excitement for the big reunion. And Mad Dog calls in the Stern a lot. Are you a little jealous that he's kind of taking it your sports run? He's becoming more friendly with.
I never really went on Howard that much, right? Like once or twice. I don't remember being on there a lot. I never. Honestly, I never sucked his balls when I was there. I just did my show and went home. I knew I didn't matter, and I knew that I had to just worry about doing that and don't worry about not being on with him or being a guest or any of this other stuff. I never ever once thought that way. But listen, here's the truth. Chris and I are friends. I like Chris. I see Chris at the Super Bowl every year. I do the show. I'll be in Phoenix right next to Chris. So Sirius puts Chris and I up on a giant stage, and it's Chris, Mad Dog Radio, it's NFL Radio, and it's Sports Grid, Ferrall, Coast to Coast. There's 3 shows on that stage. It's the biggest stage at the Super Bowl. It's the biggest stage at Media Row, bar none. All these other guys have big things going on, McAfee, ESPN, but the Sirius XM stage is fucking titties. It is the most unbelievable setup you've ever seen in your life. And imagine the noise of having Russo on 2 to 6, and I'm on 3 to 6, and the two of us literally 5 feet apart doing. He's doing a radio show. I'm doing a TV and radio simulcast. I get along really well with Chris. Here's why. When he went to Sirius and started doing the Mad Dog channel, he had left WFAN, and so. When I was at the Fan all those years, Mike and Chris hated my guts. I was a wild man. I was crazy. I was nuts. I was also #1 at night for 5 fucking years in a row, every single book. So suck my fucking balls. And they were like, this guy's disgusting. He's repulsive. He's immature. He's an idiot. He makes WFAN look bad. He's a terrible person. It's just horrible having him on, all the rest. So I went to Howard. I'm working at Howard for 3-4 years. Here comes Russo in the door. And then once he saw me working for Howard and doing what I was doing for Howard Stern, and that I was there on Howard's, meal plan, he knew that I was fucking good at what I did. And there was no more of this petty bullshit at WFAN. And Ferrall's this crazy lunatic in LA ruining our station. All I ever did at WFAN was kick ass and take names. And then they brought me back there to CBS after Howard to do 8 more years of dominance. The only person I don't like is Fat Sessa. I never liked him. He's a cunt. To this day, he can go fuck a horse in the ass. I don't care what any of them think of me. And I just know he's great at what he does. He's an incredible talent. He's an amazing, just badass in everything he's ever touched in radio. He's been incredible. His career has been incredible. He's made tons of money. He's been the biggest thing that ever happened in sports talk in New York with Mike and the Mad Dog. I don't deny any of that. I think he's fabulous at what he does. I also think he's a cunt. And I'll beat his ass. I'm 6'4", 230 pounds of fuck you, okay? And I will dunk in his face. Russo, he's a little skinny twig. He's a little teeny weeny, like Ric Flair would say, with your teeny little neck and your teeny little legs and your skinny little arms. I'm a fucking grown man, violent fucking penetrator in Iraq, straight to the 10. I ain't losing nothing to that fat ass. And the skinny twig, I love Russo. I think he's great. He's on Mad Dog. He's on First Take with Smith. He's fabulous. Fat Sus is fabulous at what he does. He don't like me. I don't like him. Fuck him. I don't really care what he thinks of me. It's funny. I made a shitload of money too. Blow me. I don't care. This and that. I know this. Like, he's awesome. I'm better. I'm better in bed. I'm better in sports. I'm better on the air. I'm funnier. I'm better looking. I mean, I got it all going. But I never see that guy. And if he died tomorrow, I wouldn't give a fuck.
Well, I think it's a good way to end. Anything else you'd like to add today? I think we had some fun. We talked some sports. What do you think about the NFL? Can you give us some early thoughts on the NFL? Do we want to even talk? I mean, it's pretty. -1 for each team. So the home looks pretty even.
I still think Joe Burrow's the best player in the NFL. I think he's the MVP. I think he's going back to the Super Bowl. He kicked the Bills' ass and he kicked their teeth in. And I think that, I think the Niners' defense is incredible. I thought the Cowboys made their offense look relatively pedestrian in that game. They're lucky they won that game. I think they won that game because Prescott made 2 mistakes. And you make 2 mistakes in a title game or in a divisional semi in the fourth quarter, you lose. At any point in those big games, you make a big mistake, you lose. So they beat them 19-12, whatever. I think they're going to have a nightmare on their hands against the Philadelphia Eagles at the Link in Philly. I think the Niners can beat them and go to the Super Bowl. That would be 13 wins in a row and go to the Super Bowl. I don't really want to see again for like the 4th time in my life, the Bengals and Niners in the Super Bowl. I think they've done it twice. I don't want to see that. I actually have this sneaking suspicion it'll be Bengals and Eagles. I think that Hurts and that running game and that, Brown, Smith, and Goddard are as good as the Niners, and they're playing in Philly. Everybody's going to be drunk and lit. I think they got, that 1 point is nothing. I think playing in Philly is good for 3 points. I think Purdy's going to have a hard time on the road in a title game. All these games he's played have been at home. Cushy, everybody's sucking his dick. His mommy and daddy love him. He ain't going to have no fucking lovers and family in Philly. He's going to have a nightmare on his hands. I think those fans are going to wish death on him. And I think the Eagles are going to try to kill him. And look what the Eagles did to the Giants. They fucked them up. I mean, they are good. Eagles, Bengals for me. And it'll be a different Super Bowl than what we've seen in the past several times.
I've enjoyed this. I appreciate your time. I normally wrap up my show, but I'm going to give you the last 30 seconds. Just do your thing. I haven't even heard your catchphrases or anything. So just give me 30. I don't want to ask you to be a monkey here and do like little tricks and stuff, but I want you to wrap up my show today. Just do your thing for the fans at home. I thank you for watching. Here's Ferrall.
I just think that Brad's doing a kick-ass job. It's unbelievable. He's had all kinds of killer guys on. I watch him talk to Tim, Sadie, my man, all of them, you name it, Jim, Lauren, Payne, Shuli, all of the badasses talking about the days at Howard 101 and Howard 100 in the Stern channels, the greatest channels in the history of radio. Brad's kicking ass and taking names. I love him. I'm glad that he called me out to do the show. I'm glad I got to hang out with you today and go down memory lane and trip a little bit. And all I have to say at the end is, shake it. Ooh.